Somebody had to give everybody a chance.
Right.
John.
Yeah.
Somebody had to give you a chance.
Marlon Brando had no experience.
Hi, welcome to Observations. I'm host John Walsh, publisher of the Palm Coast and Ormond Beach Observer community newspapers.
Welcome to Observations. I'm Brian McMillan, filling in for John Walsh. I'm the executive editor of the Palm Coast Observer, and today I have two guests with me. Beau Wade, actor, director with City Repertory Theater. Welcome, Beau. It's the first time I ever met you in person, except for a couple minutes ago, so I'm happy to be able to talk with you about your upcoming show and about art and the theater, so welcome.
Thank you. It's very good to be here.
Next to you is John Sbordone, co-founder of City Repertory Theater and longtime theater guru. Is that a good title? Would you call him a guru?
A
Beau?
guru.
Wise man on top of the mountain?
He's called me many other things.
Sounds good. So I wanted to talk to you guys today because CRT is back, right? You're back on your home stage. And I thought it would be good to talk about something besides politics. You know, what do you think is better, talking politics or talking art? What do you prefer?
I much prefer to talk art, but usually they're a little intertwined, art and politics.
Yeah, I wondered if you guys would have that kind of attitude.
Politics, isn't that fiction?
Trying to turn art into political. I don't know. Turning art into politics.
It's more like politic fare into art.
Yeah, there you go.
We draw from real life.
So John's been a long-time director. You're a newish director. You said you directed about 6 shows in the past few years. And I wondered, you've been directed by John many times, so I wondered if you could start out by telling me something that you've learned from John as a director.
Okay. Something that I learned from John as a director.
Yeah.
You have to trust yourself. You have to not worry about how other people might view what you're doing or if they don't understand it. If you have your own personal vision, you put that on the stage. You don't let the actors or someone else dictate what you're doing. You don't let the business side of it get in the way of the art side.
You have to have a vision for your final production.
Have to have a vision? You should have a vision, probably. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you do go into a show where you don't have necessarily a full idea at the onset of what you're doing. And one thing that John, like a very specific note, is that 50% of directing is casting. So it's really not until you get all the pieces in there together that you can really have a vision take place. Because you can have ideas, but then if you got actors that wouldn't be able to capitalize on your ideas, there's not a good mesh there. So you have to be adaptable.
I've seen a bunch of interviews with movie directors lately, and I've heard them say even more than that, like 90% is casting. So I can see where you're going there. So what did you see, John, that made you think that Beau should take over some CRT shows? I mean, that's putting a lot of trust in somebody's hands to direct a show on the stage.
It is. And actually, Beau and I worked together the first time more than 10 years ago when we were at Flagler Playhouse. And Beau took a trip on the Appalachian Trail. 6 months?
6. Yeah.
And when he came back, he was a changed man. He had, from the practical become the philosophical. And so we started working together intensely about 5 years ago. And as I watched him develop as an actor, and he's always curious about what was going on, how things came together, it just seemed inevitable. And certainly his dedication has been extraordinary. I think you find that kind of dedication in graduate students who are really just trying to hone in on what this art is all about and make it better. So I think my common refrain to Beau these days, outside of what he does in the theater itself, is read. Because I think that's necessary for the director to come with a vision of the world that the play works in. So,
yeah, right. I read one of Rick DeAmpert's articles about one of your recent shows on Flagler Live, and Rick called you, Beau, the hardest working man in area theater. So do you ever take a play off?
Oh, no.
No.
Not really. Before the pandemic, from like about 2014 to 2016. 2016 is when I did the Appalachian Trail, so I was gone. And then 2017 to 2020, I was doing about 10 to 12 plays a year, mostly as an actor, but eventually also.
Yeah. Incredible. It's a lot. It's a lot of work, and for not a tremendous salary. So I applaud you for helping make the community a better place by providing some art.
Thank you.
On a Facebook post, Beau, you said recently this about live theater: the audience is always going to be the final puzzle piece. So what did you mean by that?
Well, in theater, if you have actors on stage doing something and there's nobody to watch, it's that old adage is if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around, does it make a sound? If you're up there on stage and you're performing for no one, are you really making art, or are you just having fun playing pretend? Mm-hmm. Because if no one's viewing you, then you're not being able to transmit your message outward. Mm-hmm. So that's what the audience is, the final puzzle piece. And it really, an audience can vastly change your show, how the audience is perceiving you and the energy that you have going between the actors on stage and the audience off stage. That is paramount to a show's success, is the audience, I don't want to necessarily say enjoying, but like being entertained. Mm-hmm. It has to happen, or else your show is...
If you tell a joke and there's no one to laugh, could it possibly be funny?
Right, yeah.
Someone has to laugh for it to be funny, right?
Right.
What do you think is the value, John, maybe you can answer this, what is the value of a small theater in a community like Palm Coast? What does it bring to the community?
To me, theater is the ultimate live communication, and the intimacy of our space makes that communication all the more intense and all the more possible. Beau will verify this. We have actors who come in who are quite good, singers mostly, who have been trained to sing with their eyes above the audience. This, as Beau knows, drives me insane, especially in our space, because we try to make everything intimate. We try, unless the show doesn't call for it at all, we try to make it an interpersonal experience.
Shows rarely don't call for it. So,
and if they do, we probably don't see it, and so we bend it to. So when you ask about live theater, that's what it is. It's that intimate give and take. Otherwise, why not watch TV?
Yeah, I saw a couple of calls for auditions from the past, for different shows, and it says specifically, I think it said specifically something about like inexperienced actors welcome, and I was just curious. Is that not true? Maybe not.
No, that's definitely true.
But I'm curious. Maybe you did, but you don't. I was wondering, like, do you really want to deal with inexperienced actors? I mean, doesn't that make your life so difficult and pulling your hair out?
It really depends on what your goal is, what your mission is. Yeah. If it's social, inexperienced actors are marvelous. But if you're trying to make art, I don't mean to pontificate, but if you're trying to make it something very special, and then you need people who can dedicate themselves to it. Not that inexperienced people can't, but that word encompasses a great span of
which word are you talking
possible
about?
talent and experience.
So he doesn't want an experience, but you do? Is that?
I'm guessing that it must have been me that made the post then about inexperienced actors.
Wasn't me. No.
I guess I'm shocked that someone would ever want an inexperienced actor.
Well, no, people have to learn somewhere. But
right.
Exactly.
If I'm charging somebody $30 to come in and see a musical,
you don't want it to be embarrassing or fall flat somehow.
No, there's an obligation to provide a quality product.
Right, yeah.
And again, it's not that an inexperienced actor can't do that, but they're welcome to audition, sure.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Very true.
That's
you may discover a diamond in the rough.
That's probably what I was going
To
for,
quote
putting
Disney's
that out.
Aladdin.
Exactly, yeah.
We're getting there
it's
eventually.
also
Please
interesting.
don't.
We'll get there eventually.
But yeah, an inexperienced actor could just be somebody that hasn't necessarily been on the stage, but talent can be born from within without any training. So you never know until you try. So we're trying to get people in the doors, or at least
somebody had to give
new people in the
somebody
door.
had to give everybody a chance.
Right,
John.
Yeah.
Somebody had to give you a chance.
Marlon Brando had no experience when he did his first.
He was born.
Okay, so here's my last question about this kind of first segment of questions about general art, and then we'll go into talking about the show that's coming up, Twisted. Why do so many plays have sad, complicated endings instead of like more happy, simple endings that please the crowd?
If art is a reflection of life, then the creations that we make about that life need to reflect that in an honest way. Mm-hmm. And so while there are certainly happy experiences in life, many of the experiences that are dealt with by serious playwrights are not about happy. They're about surviving. They're about coping. They're about relationship. So that's why. But there are plenty of happy plays with happy endings. Mm-hmm. About an hour and a half down the road, they're all in the same place. So,
you mean Disney World, or?
That's what I would be saying. Yes.
Beau, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just like you said, it's a reflection of life, and so there's not as many. In Hollywood, you have feel-good stories. That's not something that's prevalent in the theater. And I think a lot of that would probably come from playwrights, people who I think sit down and write plays as compared to like a screenwriter, usually are trying to get at a subject that hasn't been touched on as much. Mm-hmm. Where if you are, writing for a movie or a TV show, you might be like, oh, let me take a formula and try and apply it to this to generate revenue, where I don't think that plays are necessarily
you scoff at revenue here
the
in
revenue
the
generating
world.
Things.
Not donations, revenue.
Yeah.
We love donations.
Yeah, so we love
All right,
sponsors.
let's talk about CRT. So City Repertory Theater, it didn't disappear during the pandemic. You did some shows outside at the PCAF tent, did one at the auditorium, had masks and social distancing. So this next show, Twisted, which starts, what are the dates again? August 5th through 8th, I think?
Yes.
5th or 8th, yeah.
So what is that environment going to be like? Is it going to be safe? Or are we going to be?
I think it will be quite safe. We, as we're coming, it always feels weird to say as we're coming out of the pandemic, because it's not necessarily we're coming out of it. We're just dealing with it. A lot more people are vaccinated. I would say that 95, maybe all of our cast is vaccinated. Okay. And then we have been trying to keep up on cleanliness, make sure that everyone's being safe around each other.
In fact, the theater is going to be thoroughly.
How can people get tickets to Twisted?
They can find us on Facebook. We are City Repertory's Theater of Palm Coast. And we also have our Eventbrite page, eventbrite.com/CRT.
Yes, or go to our website, crtpalmcoast.com, which is up to date and ready to take ticket requests.
Excellent. Very good. Well, support local art, support CRT. Thanks again for joining me, Brian McMillan, on Observations.